Okay, good afternoon again, everyone, and thank you so much for taking up the time to join us for today's webinar. I believe we have a good number of people. We can start now. So I believe everyone can hear my voice and also can see my slide. So if you cannot see my slide or if you cannot hear my voice, please indicate. Okay, I believe we are all good. So, welcome to today's webinar. Basically, the topic of today is talking about the human firewall. All right. So, quite a strange concept, right? Talking about firewalls, we usually refer to the IT-based firewall, but today we're talking about a human-based firewall. So, the whole idea is talking about how to strengthen cybersecurity through employee awareness. My name is Ibrahim. I'm a cybersecurity account manager here with Condition Zebra, and I will be sharing the webinar for today. Talking about our agenda for today, the first thing I just want to introduce about Condition Zebra, talk about who are we, and then we go directly into the topic of today, talking about the top trends in cybersecurity, talking about those trends that specifically relate to human error or human-based vulnerabilities. Then we talk about how to recognize red flags in everyday activity, creating a cybersecurity conscious workplace, talking about immediate action that employees can take to strengthen cybersecurity. Then we have a Q&A session, and lastly, the closing and some free consultation at the end of the webinar. So before we dive into the main presentation for today, I just want to do some housekeeping rules. So I believe you have, some of you might have some questions, so please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. We will have the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Yep, and if let's say you're wondering whether we will be sharing any recording, or if you're wondering if this session is going to be recorded, yes, we will record the session, and the link will be available upon request. So if you are interested in having the recorded, you just let us know by sending an email or indicate to us, then we will send you the link to access the recording. And lastly, we do have additional support after the webinar, right? So post-webinar, if let's say you're interested in any product demo, presentation, or any further consultation on your cybersecurity journey, please feel free to reach out to us. We will be happy to support you. And lastly, please feel free to sign up for our newsletters. We do send out regular email updates on our upcoming webinars, training, and latest cybersecurity tips and updates as well. Now, just to share about Condition Zebra. So who are we? So Condition Zebra is purely a cybersecurity company. We don't do anything outside cybersecurity. And this is our core area of business. So we do things like IT security assessment, we do digital forensic investigations, we do have our managed security services, whereby we can provide SOC services, EDR, XDR, and those kind of monitoring technologies and solutions. And lastly, we do provide IT security training. So of course, Condition Zebra, we have a license from NACSA, from the National Cybersecurity Agency in Malaysia, to provide penetration testing services and also managed security services. So we also have the same license in Singapore, and we are CREST certified, and we also have ISO certification. And lastly, we actually have won this award for cybersecurity education and training provider of the year. Right. So at a high level, we have about 18 years of experience in this industry, and we have completed more than 1,000 cybersecurity assessment projects. So it could be like penetration testing, social engineering testing, and so many other kind of security assessment and audit. And we have trained more than 10,000 people in terms of IT security technical courses. All right. So this is just some more detail in terms of the services that we offer. So think talks about like penetration testing or vulnerability assessment, source code review, and so many others as well. So I'll share more on that later on. All right. So before we dive into the session for today, it's a good opportunity for us to get to know each other. All right. So there's generally this what we call a social media nickname, right? So we can take this opportunity to know what is our social media nickname. So how do you get your social media nickname, right? So the first thing is you need to combine your pet's name and your birthday, right? Only the month and the year of your birthday, right? So for example, if let's say your pet name, I take my case as an example, my pet name is Simba, right? And my birthday is 23rd, and then my month is October, right? So for example, so it will be Simba 2310. So in this case, what do you think your social media nickname will be? This is just a very short exercise for us to just interact. So I just use my case an example. So I put in a chat box. My social media nickname will be Simba2310. So anyone wish to try out, you can just drop your name as well in the chat box. So it's a combination of your pet name, your pet, maybe your pet could be Bingo or Simba or whatever, together with your birthday. So anyone willing to try that? Okay. All right. We are getting some responses there. So we have like Golden, okay, 0308, Nino, 1209, okay, Socks 3007. All right, very interesting names. We have COYG23, COIG 2306. We have one more Zoro, 1408. Okay, we have Mock as well, MOK 1803. Right, so a lot of very interesting nicknames, interesting responses there, right? So what is the purpose, I'm sure you're wondering, for this exercise, right? Right, so while it's a very interesting thing or activity to try out, this is actually one of the ways that the hackers can get you, right? Right, so you might find a lot of social media, maybe someone will send you on WhatsApp or they'll send you on Facebook, or Instagram, they'll make some posts and they will ask you to play this kind of games, right? So if you look at the question, right, what are the two items they're asking? They're asking your pet name and your birthday, right? So there's different kind of games like this, right? But what they're asking, these are kind of information that they can use to reset your password. So for example, if you forget your email password today, they will ask you, okay, to reset your password, put in your pet name or put in your birthday or put in this kind of information, right? So these are one of the ways that the hackers can actually use to gather your information, right? So using your publicly accessible information and those also private information that you disclose mistakenly by playing this kind of activity or exercise, right? So they can change it depending on the season or the reign of the period, right? For example, let's say any during election or political season, they can ask you, hey, what is your politician name, right? If let's say today you're a movie star, what is your movie star name, right? Then they will ask you to combine this word with this number or this word with this word. But the information they are asking is actually confidential or is actually information that can be used to attack you later on. Maybe they can use it to reset your password, to change your email account password, or to do further attack on you. Right? So please, when you see this kind of games or this kind of activities, be careful. Right? Not to say you don't play, not to say you don't play, you can feel free to play, but don't use a real one. Right? Don't use, for example, your real name or, for example, your real birthday, for example. This can actually cause error. So I believe in this case, there's no harm because this information I asked, I didn't ask anything that the full detail that anyone here can be used to attack you in this particular instance. But in future, please be careful. These are one of the ways the hackers can get you. Right. So talking about today's topic, of course, when we talk about information security, there's three main pillars or three main areas that we look at. Right. So first one is integrity. Right. All right. Sorry, the first one is the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So we call this the CIA triad, right? So confidentiality, integrity, and availability. First thing we talk about confidentiality of the information, whether the information is always correct or accurate when we need it, and then the availability is always available when we need to use it. Right. So first one, confidentiality. Should I disclose this information or not? Right? If let's say I disclose it, okay, is the information accurate or not? Is it available when I need it? So I'll just give some example here, right? So talking about confidentiality, for example, we're talking about vouchers, right? Of talking about your passwords or login information, right? This should be confidential, right? So of course the integrity. So if let's say today, maybe I log into my Maybank account, right? By right, my account balance should be X amount, but then I can see is Y amount, right? So something changed, is not accurate, or the integrity of the data is not correct, right? And then the availability. Let's say today I'm trying to log into my Maybank account to access my fund, but then I cannot log in. The system is down, system not available, or maybe someone completely take over the system or completely take over my account. right? So that's why we have to talk about three areas: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So when it comes to these three areas at the same time, a very common idea that we should take note is who is responsibility for information security. I believe a lot of us here are maybe coming from IT departments or for companies that have an IT department or even IT security department, right? So in your mind, you might be thinking, hey, we have IT department take care of security. We have IT department have our firewall, they have antivirus, they have a lot of security things in place. So I don't need to care about security. It should be responsibility of IT department. So a lot of people have this kind of mindset, but in fact, it's not the right mindset. Because information security is everyone's responsibility, right? You have to be responsible for your own data, your own PC that assigned to you by the company, your own email account assigned by the company, and of course, your own personal data and your colleagues' data and your family data as well, right? So we have to put in our mind, information security is everyone's responsibility, right? So the best way to try to imagine information security is look at it as a pipe, right? So today we have a long, maybe pipe that is connecting maybe oil, let's say taking petroleum or water from Malaysia to Singapore, for example, right? So in this scenario, you look at each connection between the pipe. We cannot have one long pipe go all the way from Malaysia to Singapore, right? There will be different connection, right? Or different joints. At each layer, there's join from this part to this part to this part, join until reach the destination. So the way to look at information security is look at each person or each user as one of the joint or as one of the connector, right? So let's say the information start from the initial stages, then the next is a person that will access it is one pipe or one layer, right? Then the next layer, the next layer. So we have to make sure that at each layer, everyone is aware of their responsibility, that this information should not be misused or this should not be let out or should not be disclosed, right? They need to understand the importance of the information. They need to understand that they also are responsible for the security of this information, right? So if you look at it as a pipe, as a long pipe like this, at each stage or each connector, you have to make sure that everyone have the same level of knowledge and the same level of trust and the same level of also responsibility for the information security. So what are the threat landscape or the common issues that we're facing today, right, when it comes to cyber threat? So I'll just talk specifically when it comes to the human error or human-related portion of it. But of course, cybersecurity can be very broad. There's a lot of threats that we're facing out there. But one of the very common one, especially over the past, let's say 6 to 7 years, around 2017 there, we started to experience ransomware. And then the ransomware keep on going up, right? Initially affected only few organizations, then starting to go up. Then it's becoming almost everywhere, right? So one of the reasons also is because this ransomware is becoming very easy to access, right? In the past, for attacker or someone to hack you, they need to have technical skills, knowledge, they need to know how to do hacking, all these things, right? But in today's world, they don't need all this. They can simply go to a certain portal, they can actually download the ransomware, or they can use what we call ransomware as a service, right? They subscribe to certain product or tools, they can send you the ransomware. They don't need to have technical knowledge, right? They just blast out to so many people, they subscribe to it. So that's why one of the reasons you see ransomware is becoming very, very prevalent almost everywhere, right? Different company facing different ransomware attack, right? So another one, of course, now we're talking about AI, right? So I think since last year or last 2 years, everything become about AI, right? But this AI come with a lot of security threat and concern, right? Because we have to talk about tools that are being created using AI. So now it's also becoming easier for the attackers to attack you because they can use AI-powered tools, right? And it's very affordable, or some of it is even free, right? So there will be different kind of attacks, and we have to brace and prepare ourselves for so many different kind of attacks in future. So for example, let's say like deepfake, right, is one of the common AI tactics now, is people can use AI. You can join on a video call, you're talking to someone, they show their face, everything, you think you're talking to the actual person, but behind there, they are using AI to change the face, right? And it's happening in real time because you're basically talking to them, you can see their face is moving, their hand is moving, it's a real human being, but they actually behind there is the fake person. And all this is possible because of AI. right? So now we cannot trust anything anymore. Let's say you receive an email, you're receiving, even when you interact on a video or even on a voice call, all cannot be trusted anymore because AI is there and it's making very easy for people to make this kind of fakes. Or even images. Today you receive an image. In the past, let's say you see some images we know about Photoshop. All right, we can say, oh, this picture is possible, it's Photoshop or it's this and that. But when it comes to AI, it can be very, very close to the original thing. I can just take one picture within few seconds. I can change my face and put someone's face. I can Photoshop myself into a group image. I wasn't in the event, but I simply put my face there. Or someone is not in the event, I can put their face there. So all these things are one of the reasons why cyber threats, of course, have to be top priority right now, because nothing can be trusted anymore. So of course, another thing is different increase of social engineering attacks. So when we talk about social engineering attacks, is talking about hackers trying to hack you using other tactic apart from using the normal way of attacking your firewall or your server using the technology way. No, they can actually use other way, like for example, to impersonate certain people or to pretend to be certain person, right? Or even physical infiltration into your office environment. They can simply try to pretend and walk behind one of your colleagues to get access to your office or restricted area. But there's so many different kind of social engineering attacks. And of course, AI also is making this very easy, right? So for example, like email phishing is also a very common social engineering attack. And it's also very easy to do because there's a lot of free tools out there that allow people to do it, right? So these are the threat landscape that we are dealing with today, right? Or some of it. So just some quick statistics or trends about this, right? So according to some statistics by IBM, right, 90% of cyber attacks are actually caused by human error. So this is one of the reasons why today we have to look at what we call a human firewall. We don't only have to concern about the actual firewall. I believe everyone here is familiar with firewall, right? The concept of a firewall means, like, for example, the device or the product that can actually protect us from the hackers. So in the past, in the technological mindset, it's talking about the technological firewall, right? We could be hardware-based or software-based, but now we have to talk about the human being itself being a firewall, right? Because majority of the attacks now are coming in through human error. The hackers are also very smart. They realize, hey, firewall is already there, it's very strong, it's very hard for them to penetrate into your network or your application because maybe your IT department have put in a lot of controls, they have to do security assessment, they have to patch in all these things. But if let's say today I can get the employee to simply give me the username or password, I don't need to go and hack the system, right? Or I can simply get the employee to transfer money from the company's account to my account. Then I don't need to go and hack the company bank account. I don't need to go and hack the company system. I just trick this person and this person can actually do the job for me. So this is why human being is very, very important. In security, we say human being is the weak link or the weakest link in cybersecurity. Because whatever the hacker want to go get, at the end of the day, he will still tie back to human being. Either some human being have the credential or login access to reach that system, or the human being have the privilege or access to make the transfer of the money or whatever the hacker is trying to get. So if I can compromise a human being, I don't need to worry about compromise the system anymore. So hackers are also looking at this area. Another statistics that are very alarming. So 53% of Malaysian companies were hit by more than 10 cybersecurity incidents. This is in the past 4 years, right? So another also very, very alarming statistics, 72% of organizations also have experienced at least one cyber attack in the last 4 years. So of course, cyber attacks can be at various levels, different type. It doesn't mean today that the whole company hacked or the server takeover. No, it could be a very small one, maybe email phishing attack. Someone pretend to be the company's CEO or pretend to be someone party, then they send an email to the employees to try to trick them. Or some can be very severe cases where they actually can take over the server or can even compromise the entire company network. They cannot go to office. We have certain cases of client that they got taken over, about 80 servers, all compromised. So their business and operation affected for almost 2 weeks, right? And these are all happening within Malaysia. Let's not talk about global market yet. So another thing that we have to see is, of course, there is all cost affected or cost related to all these things, right? When it comes to cybersecurity or cybercrime, all right? So cybercrime, of course, is any crime that is happening using computer, right? It could be email or it could be ransomware. It could be so many other kind of cybercrime. But PC or computer based, of course, all fall under cybercrime. And you can see there's a cost there. The cost is in trillions of dollars. We're no longer talking about millions or billions. And the trend is going up. It's skyrocketing. So in the past, let's say about 2020, about 4 or 5 years ago there, it used to be very low. It's just about what, $3 trillion. But you can see it's going up exponentially, right? And steadily going up. And by 2028, it's estimated to be about $13 trillion, the cost of cyber breach. Of course, all these cyber breach are happening. You might not hear about it because most companies do not disclose, right? You don't know that it's happening, but it's in fact happening, because when most companies got hacked or got compromised or got attacked, they don't disclose, they don't share publicly, because of course, they want to maintain their reputation to their customers or their partners and things like that, right? So the exact number of companies being attacked, you might not be seeing out there, but at the back end, of course, those of us that are in cybersecurity field, we can actually have more idea or more knowledge about these things. And you can see there's a huge cost attached to it. And of course, there's also reputational losses. It's not just about the financial losses, right? So in summary, what are we saying here, right? We're saying is your technology or all these things that you have in place, it has no chance against the human being, right? So this is a very, the image here is a very cartoonish image that basically signifies in real terms how things happen, right? So let's say today we're talking about a boxing ring, right? In one corner, we have data security. So you have your firewall, your database, your backup, your all this, everything is there in place. But then on the other corner, you have Dave. So Dave, my friend, Dave could be any of us, right? It could be a normal human being, anyone, right? So who do you think will win against this each other, right? You have data security on this side, then you have Dave on this side. If let's say you want to protect the data, who do you think who do you think will be the victim here? Of course, end of the day is Dave, because Dave has the password to get to all these things. If Dave compromised, then all these firewall, all these security things have no use. They mean nothing anymore. All right, so here just to share, of course, not just system can be hacked, human being also can be hacked, right? So I'm just going to share some real cases of cybersecurity incidents or cybersecurity threats that have been happening. So on a global landscape, just wanted to share about AI, because now AI is everywhere. Almost every company is using AI or trying to integrate AI to help their business processes, which is good, it's positive, right? But there's a huge concern there. So in this case, we have what we call the AI effect, right? AI versus AI. So this case is about Amazon. Of course, Amazon, we know, is one of the biggest companies in the world, billions of dollars or trillions of dollars in revenue and things like that. But in real case, they are experiencing more than 1 billion AI threats every day. This is on a daily. So you try to imagine what kind of threats that they face. And this is happening because of AI, right? In the past, maybe they could experience maybe 100,000, but now because of AI, it's exponential, right? It blew up. So of course, they also have to use AI to protect against this. And of course, we know Amazon, they are also the owners of AWS. And AWS is one of the very popular cloud platform, right? That a lot of companies are using and storing their data. So people are trying to hack to access those data that is stored in AWS. So AI being used by Amazon to protect the company, and then AI being used by attackers to attack Amazon or to attack the company as well. So this is one of the issues that we're facing. But of course, on a human level, or in a real world scenario, of course, we have real people losing money. So in this case, we have a woman, a jobless woman in Selangor that actually lost about 2 million ringgit in crypto scams. Of course, crypto is one of the common issues we're facing lately. Almost everybody having some interest or some investment in crypto. People make a lot of money and people lose a lot of money due to scams. So another case, a retired person also loses about 2 million ringgit to scammers. Another case, another retiree loses about 145,000 to job scam. So another case, of course, the contractor loses about 5.9 million to fake investment scams. Right? These are all real people happening to real incidents happening to real people in the real world, right? It's not just like theory. And then, of course, there's also a lot of cases of scammers, like this case of the Johor engineer that lost 9.5 million to cryptocurrency scams. So all these things have real world impact. In some cases, it's financial losses. In some cases, it could be just data loss. In some cases, it's maybe loss, but there's always impact. There's also always real concerns. So now just for us to understand what are the motives behind cyber threats or behind cyber attackers, right? What is the reason why the hackers want to get you? Of course, we understand the very basic one, right? Financial gain or ransom, right? So most of the hackers, they will try to do some ransomware attack to encrypt your company data or your network or your system, right? But at the end of the day, they will ask you to pay. Once you pay, they will release it. So the motive is financial gain. But then we have other kind of attackers or hackers that they are hacktivists, or what we call hacktivism, right? Because in their case, they are not actually concerned about the financial losses, but maybe they are angry at certain person or certain organization, right, or group of individuals. Then they will target, for example, like the case now we have, like, for example, with in Israel, with versus the Palestine, then maybe one party is attacking the other one, or people from outside those two countries are actually attacking those countries because they are trying to be hacktivists, right? And then there could also be disruption or sabotage. So maybe for personal satisfaction or revenge. Maybe it could be your ex-employee. You fired this person is not happy, then they try to attack your company, right? Or maybe someone just don't like you, because we are dealing with human beings, right? It could be cases of people just simply don't like another person and they will try to sabotage them, right? So this is one of the reasons as well. Of course, another one is to steal data or identity. So cyber criminals, sometimes they want to steal your data, maybe for your personal information, and they want to use it for doing other attack. So for example, in US, they try to steal your social security numbers or your address, your other personal information, and it can be used to do further attack. So someone can pretend to be you to go and perform another crime. Then end of the day, the blame comes to you, right? So this is one of the reasons we all have to take care of security of information, because if you're not scared of losing money, at least you should be at least scared of someone sabotage you or someone trying to use your identity to do other things that you didn't do, put you in trouble, right? Another very common concern, of course, people can do is competitive advantage, right? In the business world, some business players are not playing fairly. They try to be very brutal or very aggressive in their ways, and they try to sabotage their competitors, or maybe they try to steal their proprietary data, or for example, steal their intellectual property, right, or trade secret. So if, let's say today, someone had your organization, they don't take your money, they don't take other things, but they steal your product, right? They steal your design, they maybe steal your client list or contact list or something like that. These are the kind of reason, right? Or vandalism or just mischief, because we also have people that simply want to act bad. Some people, maybe due to maybe certain mental health or whatever, they just take pride or they're happy to cause problem anyway, right? So it's also very important to be cautious about this kind of people, that they simply want to attack for the purpose of attacking. They might not have any real motive behind there. They just want to vandalize your system. So now we talk about understanding the human factor itself, right? When it comes to cyber threat. So of course, the common human factors related to cyber threat, the very top one is phishing, right? So phishing can be various ways. It could be email phishing, voice phishing, or so many others, right? So for example, like phishing could involve like tricking an individual to actually provide their sensitive information, such as their login credential or financial details, and then by pretending to be a trustworthy person, right? So someone can actually pretend to be your bank and then email you to ask for your login information, right? Or to ask you to click this link, because you have to be careful. One thing is, today there's so many ways that attackers can attack you. It could be they send you the file, they pretend to be maybe your HR department, send you a file with an attachment, they ask you to click, maybe it's your new employee benefit or it's your new company policy, right? So if you don't have the proper security awareness, or if your colleagues or staff don't have the proper security awareness, they just simply go and click it because they believe that this email is from my HR or is from my CEO, or for example, whoever is the person that's sending them, right? So of course, another common issue is weak password. Password is all set by human being. right? And human being, if they don't have enough security knowledge or awareness, they will actually use what we call weak or easy to guess password, right? They can expose the organization or even themselves to unauthorized access, right? Or in a very common cases, people using the same password for so many different systems, right? So like in today's world, we all have so many email accounts. We have email, Gmail, Facebook, Instagram, a lot of them, right? You cannot remember all these password, different password, but as a best practice, it's always good to use different password for different system or for different application. So your Facebook password should not be the same as your Instagram password. It should not be the same as your email. It should not be the same as your PC password. You have to use different password for each of these devices because the concern is today a hacker attack your Gmail, right? And you're using the same password for Facebook. They use the same password for Yahoo. Of course, they use the same password to try out, log into your Yahoo, log into your Facebook, log into your Maybank or banking application. Then from one attack, everything gone. But in the case where you have a different password, let's say they hack your Gmail, but you use different password for Yahoo. So your Gmail is gone, but your Yahoo is safe. So this is one of the reasons why you need to have different password, and we need to train people or employees or general the public to have safe or secure password, and they need to have different password for different systems or different application. So of course, this is also all tied to human being. Then of course, social engineering. So social engineering is just about manipulating human being, right? By pretending to be some party or by pretending to be another individual that you're not. Or for example, by even just simply doing physical attack. So someone just walk up to you in person and then they pretend to be like, oh, I know your friend or your ex-friend or whoever, and then they try to talk to you and get information from you. Or someone call you at the office, right? They pretend to be calling from your vendor or your IT department and they try to ask you for your login credentials or whatever information, right? So all these kind of human-based attacks is what we call social engineering, and there are so many different types of them. So we all have to be very cautious and very skeptical always. When someone call you, you feel like hey, something, or someone approach you, something not right, always verify. Always verify. You maybe either end the call and ask them for maybe another number to call them back, or maybe the official number, or ask for their employee ID or full name, or whatever information that you can use in that scenario to verify their identity before you disclose anything to them. Then, of course, unsecured devices, right? So today, almost everyone have smartphones, or you have your laptop or some kind of mobile devices, or even IoT devices. Let's say some of our homes, we have IoT-based cameras, or what smart cameras, smart TV, all this smart that is connected to the internet. It's all another way for the hackers to go into your system or to go into your environment because it's connected to the internet. From the internet, people can see so many things. They can access, someone can hack your camera from US, right? Because it's smart, it's controlled by IoT or controlled by the internet. So of course, these are the things that we have to take care of. Or even your mobile device. Oh, this one is my mobile device. It's not tied to company. It's not belong to company. I don't need to care because company data is stored on laptop. Company data is secure. My mobile device, I treat it badly. But the problem with that, if someone compromise, let's say you don't care your personal information, for example, right? But they can compromise your personal device, and from there they can get access to your company network because most company allow BYOD. You go and connect your phone or your unsecured laptop or device to your company network, and then from there they can actually jump into the organization as well. All right, so you have to also be responsible for this kind of things, or we have to think about these kind of things when we treat our own devices as well. So of course, always do updates, patching. You know, most times people always complain, hey, Windows always update, always update. But the thing is, this update, they are all having security improvement or enhancement, right? So if you don't update, what you are doing is you are sitting there with like your house with a door being open, right? Because most of the outdated software, they are already having known vulnerability, or their weakness is already known to the public. Someone already found out, hey, this thing got this weakness, and they disclose it. That's why Windows will quickly go and patch it, or Windows found it, then they will simply go and patch it, or iOS or Android patch it. So if you don't update, you're opening yourself to threats. Of course, insider threat is a very hot button topic that, of course, most organizations are always concerned about. Why is this? Because today, your insider or your staff, they are trusted. You already give them privileged access to your, maybe your shared folder, privileged access to certain restricted area within your office, right? Or they have a lot of privilege of control or access. But today, if they decide to turn the other way, right, what happens? They have all this privilege, they have all this data, right? So if they turn against you, there's not much you can do, right? So that's why you also have to have concern about insider threat. So you have to have certain segmentation or certain restriction to make sure that not too much privilege is given to everyone, right? You give just enough privilege that the person needs to do their job, right? So of course, you also don't share sensitive information. So for example, today, maybe among colleagues, right? Because, oh, I work with this person for very long, I trust him, then I simply give him my laptop or my login credential. I say, oh, you go and use my PC because his PC having problem, right? It could be a threat because this person could change their mind or they decide to do some sabotage or something like that, right? So of course, insider threats is a very, very important area that we should consider because it's related to human error. If today your firewall, everything outside is secure, but inside you already have the threat sitting in your office, then how do you deal with it? That's why you have to make sure you have certain controls, and you also have to train your other employees to make sure that they don't disclose too much to everyone, so that everyone have their own restriction or responsibility. So on train employees, right? So if most times is people don't know what they don't know, right? So they assume, oh, we are doing everything okay, we just follow the policy or the process and all that, right? If you don't train them to say that, hey, don't disclose this information. This information is so critical. Or don't simply click the link when you receive it, or receive a file, verify, or receive instruction, verify this instruction, right? If you don't train them, they will just simply follow the standard SOP, right? Because hey, the policies say CEO asks me for payment, I make payment. I'm just doing my job, right? You cannot blame me for doing my job, right? But at the end of the day, if company gets scammed, someone sent a fake email pretending to be CEO and I make payment, it's because I was not aware that, hey, this thing is maybe suspicious email, or this email, I don't know how to verify. Maybe there's something suspicious in the email I didn't check because I don't have the knowledge to check, right? So that's why training is very, very important. Of course, BYOD devices, we already discussed about that, talking about your laptops, and you allow your employees to bring their own laptops. You have to make sure that you have certain restrictions that they don't have access to everything, right? Of course, unauthorized access, like sharing their login credentials or failing to log out to the system, right? So today I log into my laptop and I leave it unattended. I just leave my laptop to go to washroom. It's logged in, everything, anyone can just walk up and do whatever they want, right? This is kind of human error or human mistake, or even unsecure Wi-Fi. A very common thing is people go to restaurant or any hotel or any public area. One of the first things they ask is, hey, you got free Wi-Fi, right? Of course, once there's free Wi-Fi, I simply connect, start to browse. I do my email, I do my maybe banking or whatever, right? But the risk is there always because people can do what we call fake Wi-Fi. So for example, you go to Starbucks, right? You buy some coffee or whatever, you want to connect to Wi-Fi and do some whatever, right? The free Wi-Fi. But it could be a case where you see another Wi-Fi is called Starbucks free Wi-Fi. Right. So in the real world, of course, Starbucks, they don't name their Wi-Fi Starbucks free Wi-Fi, right? It could be another fake person sitting there within Starbucks. They just simply launch their own Wi-Fi network and they broadcast it. If you go and connect to Starbucks free Wi-Fi, that person can see whatever you're doing, right? They can actually steal your data, maybe whatever traffic information you're passing along, they can see, and they can actually steal it. So that's why we also have to be concerned about Wi-Fi networks. Of course, another very common thing is ignoring a policy at all, right? Because security is always opposite to convenience, right? If you want to have security, you might have to sacrifice some convenience. So most people, because they are too much workload or they are rushing or what, right? When the company policies say, hey, don't do this, but due to they have to do their own day job, of course, they'll simply ignore the policy, right? So in some cases, they know the policy, but they are rushing or they whatever, maybe they just neglect it, then they don't follow, right? They ignore the policy. So you have to take account. Of course, people also make this kind of mistakes. They don't follow the policy always. And then another very common area is lack of multi-factor authentication, or what we call MFA. All right. So today, Or in the past, we used to have, just have your email address as your email password is sufficient. But now we find out, it's not enough because someone can compromise your password, right? So apart from having password, we also need to have a multiple layers of authentication. Maybe apart from password, you have OTP that was sent to your mobile device, or you have other kind of authentication. So it's always good to have that turned on. Of course, convenient because you have multiple layers or multiple things to do, right? You don't want to always do so many things, but security is always opposite of convenience. If you want to have convenience, you cannot have too much security. If you want to have too much security, you cannot have convenience. So it's always have to find a balance between these two. So just a quick one, I'll just run through about the impact of human behavior when it comes to security posture. So of course, security awareness and education, phishing and social engineering, password hygiene, you have to look into, make sure that your password is strong. Don't simply use like easy to guess password, like password 123, right? It's one of the most common password in the world. But surprisingly, people will still use it, right? Or sometimes the company policy said you have to have multiple characters, you have to have uppercase, lowercase, numbers, you need to have special characters, all these things. It's not convenient, but it's actually for your own security, for your own your own safety. Because if the password is very easy to guess, people can just guess it, right? They guess maybe your birthday, they can guess your husband's birthday, your wife's birthday, your dad's birthday, your mom's birthday. These are very easy to guess password. People, once they know you, they will try to guess these things as your password. Or in some cases, the password itself is maybe the company name 123, right? All these things is very poor or very weak password management, right? So always good to have strong passwords. Of course, device security, you have to make sure that all the policies are there when you allow people to bring their device. You don't allow them to simply get certain or all the access. You do password, you do sanitation, you make sure you check antivirus scanning, all these things. Insider threat is a very common concern. Compliance with security policy has to be enforced. Then remote work challenges. Now, a lot of companies allow remote work or work from home, right? Because this is the trend. So if you want to maintain employees or you want to be competitive in the job market, you might have to allow certain employees to work remotely, right? But it comes with security challenges, whereby people that actually join remotely, they can actually have a lot of security risk because maybe they're not joining from the corporate network, but they're accessing the email and whatnot. Then someone hacked them, then they can actually get access to other information that belongs to the company, right? Of course, reacting to security incidents on time is also a very common issue because most times people actually get attacked and they're scared. Maybe I receive a ransomware, right? I can see my file is encrypted, but I'm scared to tell the company, right? I don't go and inform. But what happened in that case is if the company doesn't know about it, the company doesn't take action, it could be that this ransomware can jump from my laptop or my PC, jump to other users or other PC, right? So that's why once you have some suspicious activity, always good to report or escalate to the next level so that action can be taken or response can be taken, right? Then crisis with communication and reporting is a very common one. So timely and accurate reporting of incidents, of course, to make sure that the company or the right person take the action to stop the attack. Or sometimes they have to even disconnect the device physically from the network or something like that. All these things need to be properly put in place and needs to be communicated to the staff, to all the employees as well. Then, of course, collaboration and information sharing. All right. So you also, of course, good to have a practice whereby people are comfortable to share this information because it's one thing today that you have policy that says share or do this when you receive this or when you suspect something. But if the environment is not really encouraging, of course, the users might not do that. They know the policy say, hey, when I receive a fake email, suspicious email, I should inform my other colleagues that, hey, don't click this email or don't do this. But because the environment is not friendly enough or it's not conducive enough, maybe they're not willing to do it. So it's also important that we create the culture of this information sharing, right, or collaboration in terms of security. So another thing I want to share is who are those that are actually at risk, right? Just to have a comparison in terms of company size and industry, right? Because some companies or some people think, hey, my company is very small. I don't need to worry about cybersecurity because the hackers don't want to hack me, right? The hackers want to hack me, bank, CINB. Why should they worry about me? But in the real world, this is what the data says, right? So in terms of small organization, which is the size 1 to 40 employees, is about 44.7% of healthcare and pharmaceutical industries are one of the target. 41.1% are the educational industry. Manufacturing is 40.9%. Those are the at-risk top 3 industries by company size. So medium scale, we're talking about construction, about 49%, healthcare and pharmaceutical, also 49%, business services, about 43%. When talking about the large organizations, so 1,000 plus employees, technology is 55%. Right? Why is technology very high? You might think, hey, these technology people, they're all IT or technical people. Why should they be at risk? Right? It's because they use a lot of technology. It's more attack surface for the hackers to hack them or to attack them. They use more email. They use more of all this Slack, all these other communication channels, right? They all everything tech-based, right? They don't use paper-based. So the more technology you have is the more surface for the attacker to hack you or to attack you. Of course, healthcare, very top button of top priority, 49.3%. Manufacturing, 46.8%. So overall, the technology base is about 55%. It's one of the highest, or actually the highest industry that is at risk. All right. So of course, benchmarking of the phishing as well, right? Benchmarking of the reporting. So let's say today you want to create a culture of cybersecurity awareness, right? What should you do, or how do you go about this, right? So of course, the first thing is we have 3-phase program for you, right? Or steps that you should follow to create this kind of culture, right? So the first thing is, or the first phase is, find out what is your phish prone percentage. So let's say today your organization is actually going to this journey. I want to improve the security awareness in my organization. But first I do some phishing attack, right? So phishing attack, you can either use certain free tools to do it, or you can hire companies like Condition Zebra or other vendors that perform these things to find out what is actually your phish prone percentage. Today, I have 100 employees. In the real sense, I might think, hey, my employees, I've already given them policy. I've told them, don't click this link, don't do this, don't do this. But in real case happening, will they really do it? So you test, you find out in the real world what will happen. So we send a phishing email to your 100 employees. You have 100, we send to 100. How many percent actually go and open the email? How many percent click the link or the attachment in the email? And if there's a URL or portal for them to submit their data, how many percent go and submit their data, right? So this is what we call the phish prone percentage, because you have to know what is the level of the security awareness within the organization today. Next piece, of course, is from the result of the phish prone percentage or the initial assessment, you find out, okay, what are the users that are actually weak in security awareness? Most times, maybe it could be, let's say 30% fail, 70% pass. So those 70%, you need to focus on them, create security awareness training for them, right? You can also do multiple phishing and others to make sure that they are trained. Then after 90 days, try again, do another phishing attack, right? Then you see what is the result after this training. What is the outcome? From the first time, maybe 30% fail. Then second time, how many percent fail, right? Then phase 3, of course, what is the final phishing or phish prone percentage after 1 year, right? So I'll share more on that. So these are basically a benchmark of, in the real world data. This is actually supplied by a company called KnowBe4. They are one of the security awareness platform providers, right? So you can see the real world for certain industry, or for most industries, is actually quite high, about 30%. The first time you do a phishing attack, it could be as high as 37.9% on average. So let's say you send to 100 people, 37.9% or 38 people will actually fail the phishing attack on the first trial, right? So this is quite normal. Of course, certain industry will have a higher phish prone percentage than others. Then after 90 days, you train them, train, then do another phishing attack after 90 days. Then from there, you see is reducing to about 14.1% on average. Of course, certain industry will have higher, some will have lower, but on average, after 90 days doing the training, after 90 days do another phishing, it will reduce from 37 to 14.1. Then lastly, after 1 year, you do another phishing, of course, do training, it can come down to about 4.7%. which is quite low or quite safe. Of course, we can never have 100% accuracy, or you can never have 0% fish prone percentage, because usually there's always some Dave or someone that will actually click the link, or that will fail the phishing attack, right? Some it could be by mistake, they simply click by mistake. Some they are unknowingly fall victim to it, or some they just don't care. So there's always going to be certain percentage that you will have. So, but after 1 year of multiple rounds of phishing and training and all that, you can actually reduce the fish prone percentage from 37 down to 4.7. This is proven data from result. Of course, different industry, different result as well. But at the end, what it actually shows is this process or this approach actually works, right? Because you can see the huge improvement. So now let's say today you decide to build this security awareness training program. We just want to share as a roundup, want to share a bit of what are the things that you should have in mind, right? When you're building this kind of program, right? So the very first thing is there's three realities that you need to take care or keep in mind, right? So just because I'm aware doesn't mean I care. So just because today you train your users, train them, you always have to keep in mind they might not care to follow this. So always good to test them. The policies say don't click the email, don't click, or verify before you click, or verify before you take action. If you suspect something, do this. But they suspect, but they don't follow, they don't report, they don't click. I'm sorry, they click still, right? So you have to keep this in mind. There's always going to be a percentage of your employees that will always not follow, even though they know the policy. Then another thing to keep in mind is if you try to work against human nature, you will fail, right? So of course, human nature by default is human being can be quite stubborn or hard to deal with, right? So try not to go directly attacking in terms of the human nature itself. If let's say you do the first round, you find out who are those weak ones in cybersecurity awareness, instead of you try to force them or try to do it, you can use a carrot and stick approach, right? Whereby in the first instance, you basically incentivize them by telling them, okay, whoever, let's say we do this phishing campaign, those that are the top champions consistently after 1 year, they will get this incentive, right? Or those that keep on failing for 3 or few rounds of phishing attacks, then you might give some incentive maybe to say that, okay, you might have to have one-on-one session, or you might have to sit down with one of the management of directors or the C-level of the company to basically to address this issue, right? Of course, this will have a different impact on the users, right? Of course, then the third thing you need to keep in mind is what your employees do is way more important than what they know, right? So if today they might know, hey, this policy, HR or IT send me an email, say, don't click this, don't this, right? But end of the day, they know it, will they do it? It's a different story, right? So you have to keep these three things in mind when you're building your security awareness program. So typically, security awareness program can go for about 1 year of a program, right? You can do on a quarterly basis training, or maybe every 6 months or one time a year, depending on your budget and your requirement, right? But typically, it should be on an annual basis. Of course, another thing you need to do is you need to be specific, right? So what are exact behaviors that you're actually trying to enforce or trying to improve, right? So if what are those behaviors, if adopted, they will actually have the most security benefit for the organization. So if maybe certain cases, all organizations are different. So certain cases is you're trying to improve reporting. Maybe your users, you phish them. Everyone is, oh, we already know this one is fake email, is phishing email, so we don't click. But I want to improve reporting. All of you guys, okay, 30%, okay, maybe 10% fail. I want to make sure that those other people, those 90%, they actually report it, or they help this 10% to actually improve. So you have to find out what exact behavior are you trying to improve, right? So is this group behavior, or is it a single behavior? So group behavior could be maybe generally just the culture within the organization, right? People actually not so collaborative, means maybe today they see this fake email or phishing email, they know other people are receiving it, but they won't inform them, just allow them. Hey, I fail or I pass, I don't care whether my colleague failed, right? So is it a group mentality, or is certain specific individual behavior? You need to identify that. And then is this behavior that we can actually solve? So it means, do you have the appetite to solve this problem or not at this moment, right? So you have to be specific instead of just trying to do one bulk approach, just do firefighting, right? You can actually have to be more specific or targeted in terms of the approach when designing the program. So another thing, of course, is, as I mentioned earlier, you try to nudge your employees in the right direction. Don't always go for force, right? It depends on the situation, of course, but just an example, right? So a nudge is actually, let's say, for example, we put the fruit at the eyeball level, right? So this is called a nudge. Let's say today you have a shop or store, right? You want to improve the sales of the apples, right? If you put the apples at the top shelf at the eye level of the customers will go for the fruit, right? Or the apple, right? If you put it at the bottom shelf, of course, you don't prioritize it, not so many customers will bend down to go and pick the apple, right? They'll pick the one that is at their eye level. So of course, same thing with training or improving behavior. You make it easier for people to actually follow your policy, they will follow. If you make it less easy, they won't follow. So this is also something we have to keep in mind when we design this kind of security awareness program. So of course, another thing is you also have to do marketing, right? You have to find a champion, or you have to be the champion of security awareness within the organization. So you plan like a marketer, test like an attacker, right? So people need to see the message over and over and over before they remember it. So let's say today you want to improve phishing, right? People keep on clicking phishing emails, right? If you want to improve that behavior, you have to keep on sending email. Because in certain case, we see customers, they will say, hey, our HR or our IT, they have a policy, they will send one email once in 2 years or once in 3 years or once a year. The IT send an email to all the employees or all the staff, there's a phishing email, this, don't click. But they see it one time, they forget it. If you want to improve that behavior, you have to make it constant, right? You want to do it on a monthly level or quarterly level, just to make sure that the message keeps on going or repeated over and over and over. And of course, training, same with training. If let's say today you decide to do training, you also have to make it more regular, right? Because you trained them maybe 3 months ago, they forget it. 6 months ago, they forget it. Or 1 year ago, they forget it. So it's always a constant battle. We have no choice. We have to keep on doing it to make sure that we improve at the overall level of the organization. So, but what is the benefit after all this pain point of going through all this phishing and training, all forcing people and entice them, all these things? The result is there, right? So the percentage can improve from 37% down to 4.7%. So it's worth it to put in all this effort to improve the security awareness. All right. So this is just a summary of a sample phishing or sample security awareness training program. Of course, it will always start with the analysis. Needs analysis. You analyze what is the phish-prone percentage of the company, or what is the level of security awareness of the company, right? Then you train the users. What kind of training? They need to have a one-on-one. Do they need to have a physical session or online session? Do they need to have a live demonstration of a cyber attack in their office to see to imagine the real attack, right? Or for example, you need to phish them. You need to actually test them and show them the result. Hey, we do the phishing attack on 100 of you and 37% fail, right? Because it's easy to imagine if, let's say, today they say, oh, we all know, don't click phishing email, right? But in the real world, will they really identify a phishing email or not? So you may have to phish them and test it out. So you continue this cycle until you see the improvements. So lastly, as I wrap up, of course, it's very important to encourage a culture of reporting, right? So you define what are the culture of the organization. Always make it collaborative, right? It's an all-in mentality. Security is everyone's responsibility. It's not just one person's responsibility, right? And of course, it needs to be, let's say training-wise, it needs to be fun and engaging to make sure that the people are actually paying attention. So most cases, like in case of Condition Zero, for example, when we do security awareness training, we always try to include live demos of cyber attack to the users, right? Because we can show them real cyber attack, how it happened, real phishing attacks, so that in their mind, it becomes easy for them also to remember. Because if today you tell them, oh, okay, phishing email, right? Don't click, or maybe ransomware attack is real, but it's different when they see a real ransomware attack in front of them. Or you tell them password can actually be cracked, right? If the password is very weak. But they cannot imagine it when we show them, say, okay, this is how we crack your password, and it's done very easily within few minutes. Or if you have a tough password, it can take few months to crack it. Then the mindset will start to change as well. So it's good to show live demos as well when we do your security awareness training. And of course, it will give you a return on your investment at the end of the day, right? So whether by saving you from a cyber threat, or by saving your company reputation, or even your man hours, because today, let's say you got a ransomware attack, you spend a lot of man hours to recover. Even if you don't lose money, you will lose data, or if you don't lose data, you lose man hours, right? So always the financial losses there. So when you train the people, when they have security knowledge and awareness, you protect your bottom line as well. So that brings me to my last slide for today. So as I conclude, I just want to leave you with this quote. So security systems have to win every time, right? But the attacker only has to win once. So this is a quote by one of the cybersecurity experts as well. So as we move on, I just want to jump into the Q&A session. So if you have any chats or any questions, please feel free to drop it in the chat box and we can address them. So our chat box is open. Please feel free to drop your questions there. Okay, so we have a very interesting question from Angel Rosalie. So Angel Rosalie is asking, is it right to say human is the weakest link in information security / cybersecurity, or human is single point of failure? So what do you think? All right, so this is a very interesting question, right? So the question is basically asking whether human is the weakest link or human is a single point of failure. So it can be quite two-way, because the thing is, not always human is a single point, because when we say single point, it means like the one point that can actually bring down the whole system, right? So human is the weakest link because human have access to other layers, right? They have password, they have confidential data access, they have all this privilege and all that. So it's the weakest link, but it's not the single point of failure, right? Because if you have proper security awareness or proper segmentation of the data and company policies and all that, one human being cannot bring down the entire organization, right? So it cannot be single point of failure. But of course, when it comes to weakest link, means it's like the easiest one to attack, right? Because why? Human being, of course, they're not like computer. Computer is ABC, ABC. Okay, follow the algorithm is like this, right? If nothing changes, they will always follow. But human being, they are subject to so many things. They're subject to their mood, subject to their sometimes feelings. Maybe someone actually, they like this person, they can share more information with them. They don't like them, they don't share more information. But PC is a system, you say, don't share, PC will never share. But human being, they can be manipulated, right? Or human being can be forgetful. The computer will never forget, but human being, sometimes they can forget, oh, okay, I forgot the company policy say like this, I forgot to do, right? Or maybe I woke up today, I'm tired, I worked too many hours last night, then today my concentration is not there. I can simply go and click certain thing or download certain malware. So that's why human being is the weak link. It's not the single point of failure, but it's the weak link. It's the weakest link in the chain. But it's a very interesting question. Interestingly, if you have maybe a different opinion, of course, we're happy to hear from you as well. It's a very interesting conversation. So we have another question by Tevan. So if a shared account is used between 5 to 6 people, how do I ensure the password is not abused? I'm thinking to have MFA, but then I imagine everyone will get it at the same time. Yes. So this is, of course, where you have to put in other kind of privileges, right? So let's say, for example, you have 5 to 6 people sharing the same password. By right, this shouldn't be the way, right? So of course, each user need to have their own unique identity, because you want to know, let's say today 5 to 6 people sharing the account, for example, is a bank account, right? 5 people sharing same login account. If someone log in and transfer money from that account, you don't know who's the one that did. 5 of us having the same access, right? So it shouldn't be the way. You should actually have, each user should have their own unique identity, unique login credential or unique password, so that today if someone log in at 2 a.m. and transfer money, I can see, this is the person that transferred the money, or this person that actually log in at this hour, right? I can have a log. But if today is 5 people accessing the same time, if someone hack me or someone do something, I don't know who's the one. I have to target 5 to 6 people to investigate. So this is actually not the best practice, of course. So MFA in this case might not be helpful as well, because MFA, like you said, they also will have the same privilege. If let's say you send in credentials, or it could be, now MFA also, it wouldn't be the best way to go about it. The best thing actually to have each unique identity for each user. That would be the best thing. So I hope that addresses as well. So do we have any other question? Okay. Okay, Ms. Jamila, I have to leave the session due to some other matters. Okay, thank you again for joining, Ms. Jamila, as well. If you have any question or any support, just feel free to reach out to us as well. We have another question from Tevan. Does Condition Zebra offer services like to check security issues? Definitely. So this is basically one of our, our main services basically is to check security weaknesses or vulnerabilities. So I'll just go back to my slide here. Of course, I have one last slide to share. This is just talking about our MSP offering, right? So since we have people maybe starting to leave, I'll just share on this before I come back to that. But Condition Zebra, yes, we are purely focusing on cybersecurity, as I mentioned earlier, right? So in terms of cybersecurity, we can do check-in to find out your security weaknesses, and then we recommend how to improve your overall security. So it could be at the technical level, maybe check your firewalls, your network, your application. We do penetration testing, we do source code review, or we can check at the human level, whereby we can do everything that I mentioned in my presentation today, talking about our phishing campaign to phish your users or even to train your users. We have that as well. So we have what we call our MSP or managed service provider offerings. So under this MSP, we basically have the managed detection and response. So this focus more on your technology, how to check or how to monitor security for your, let's say your firewall, your endpoints, laptops, desktop servers, everything. But then we have information security awareness program. So this is where today we can actually create security awareness program for your organization from scratch. Of course, we sit down with you, do consultation, understand your needs, understand your business, and then from there we come up with a plan or program for your company to follow, how to improve your overall security awareness, right? So we can do this initial phishing to find out what level is your employee level of awareness, right? To read real phishing attack on them. Then from there, we create the training. Depend on the needs. It could be maybe once a year. It could be twice in a year. It could be quarterly, 4 times in a year. Or it could be based on certain needs. We do the first phishing attack. We find out the result, then we train everyone. Then second time, we do another phishing. Those that fail, then we have to send them for what we call remedial training. We do another training, but that training focus on only those people that fail the initial, that fail the second round of phishing. So we could customize, we can create all these programs for you guys. And of course, we are offering free consultations at the moment. So let's say, for example, on our managed detection and response or MDR, we can offer you a free 30 minutes consultation. We sit down with one of our technical people to understand more on your business needs and help you to work out your cybersecurity strategy. And of course, the same thing offer for security awareness program. So we can also sit together with you, understand your needs, create this program, and we can do a POC or what we call a free trial, right, for your organization to test out the services, see the result, and of course, start to work on your strategy as well. So we do have a link here, so you can feel free to scan this link. Of course, it will take you. Don't worry, it's not a phishing link. All right. So I know based on what we've discussed today, you might have concern, but this is not a phishing link. This is basically the link for you to register for the free trial, right? If you're interested, free trial for the managed detection and response, or if let's say you would like to have a one-on-one conversation, right? You can reach out to our contacts here. So our company website is here, our contact number or WhatsApp, and also email. You can send us an email or message on WhatsApp, and then we can actually reach out to discuss on your requirement, and we can propose whatever solution could be suitable for your organization. So, but as a whole, our security awareness services are actually very broad. We cover so many services like penetration testing, red teaming, source code review, social engineering testing or email phishing attacks, compromise assessment, and so many other checking that we can do on your security. Okay, so just to answer back the other questions. Okay, we have one question from Trishan. So how do we stay informed about the latest social engineering tactics and emerging threats in a constantly evolving threat landscape? Very good. Okay, so of course you have to, okay, the easiest and cheapest way I give you is you subscribe to Conditions Zebra newsletter, right? It is free. We always send out this kind of updates on the latest cybersecurity threats, right? Or the news, if there's a new hot button topic that's happening on cybersecurity, our team is always updating our subscribers. We send out we send out email newsletters, and you can subscribe to our social media pages like LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. We also post this kind of regular update. So this is the free and easy way, right? Of course, if you want a more advanced, a more higher level is to do security awareness, or to hire companies like us to do security awareness training and program for your company. Right? So whereby we can actually constantly fish your users and train them, like I mentioned just now in my slide, right? It's a non-stop cycle. So we have a lot of customers that we work together like that for some cases we do on an annual basis, one time a year, some we do twice a year, some we do every quarterly, to train the users or all the staff on what are the latest threats, because cybersecurity always evolving, right? So every day there's a new tactics coming up by the hackers, there's new method. Today we train you on this one, maybe after next month, it's entirely new, right? So we have to keep on training. So we do provide this kind of training. Or another thing you can do on the technical level is you can subscribe to what we call those threat intelligence platform. So Conditions Zebra, we also provide those as well. So threat intelligence platform is, they will provide you specifically threat information that related to your company or to your organization, right? So for example, let's say you're today a government agency, or maybe you're a financial institution or what, they will actually provide you targeted information that's specifically affecting or that is relevant for your industry, right? So provide you all this threat intelligence. So that needs to be a subscription. You need to pay on an annual basis, but we do offer that as well. Or you could go for training, where it can be one-off training or kind of one-time engagement or the whole year engagement. So you can reach out to us. We can also discuss further on that as well. Oh, okay. So the response from Rosley. So Mr. Rosley is saying, back to the question earlier about the single point of failure or the weakest link in cybersecurity. So you mentioned, to me, human can be single point of failure too, because one mistake from a single person can bring down the whole system down, based on real life experience. Yes, this can happen, definitely. Usually when this happens is due to maybe technology that is not properly configured or not properly done. Let's say there's no restriction, or there's certain maybe weaknesses on technology level, then human being can actually, yes, they can bring down the entire system. But at a technological level, if you put in proper restriction or control, let's say it's a ransomware attack, for example, by right, if I get a ransomware on my system and there's no certain restriction, that ransomware can jump from my PC to my other colleagues to spread to the entire organization, right? But of course, if there's certain tools or restriction in place that what we call like EDR technologies installed, those EDR, they can actually detect that something suspicious is going on, and they will alert the IT department or the system admin or the security person, and they can actually isolate that particular PC. So there are certain tools or technology that can protect or prevent this kind of thing from going further, right? But of course, in an environment, maybe in a smaller scale environment, or in an environment whereby the technology is not so advanced, then definitely yes. One single mistake by one user can bring down the entire system. I have also experienced before whereby a case of one of the server actually got compromised, and then from there it affected another 80 more servers, right? Or in terms of financial cases, I have experienced also a case whereby, of course, this was a financial losses. So someone pretended to be the CEO of the company, sent a fake email to the finance department, and then instructing them to make a payment, right? And the finance department, they didn't verify, they simply went ahead and make the payment. So financial losses. I'm talking about almost 100,000 ringgit case, right? So this could be, of course, human error. This is the all human point of failure. So there's also another comment by Tevan. How do we book this POC with you? Okay, so I'm sharing on my screen here our contact details. You can just reach out to us either on email, or phone call, or WhatsApp to arrange the session. Then we can arrange for the POC as well. Yeah, so I believe my slide is still showing, right? The contact information there. You can just reach out to us through any of these channels. So the POC can be either for the security awareness program, or it can be for the MDR, or what we call a managed detection and response. So that is more on the technology level. And then the security awareness is more on the end user or the staff or the human level. So there's a few questions about people asking, how do we book the POC? Yes, POC is free, it's 100% free. Of course, since it's a POC, there might be certain limitations. You will not be getting the full service. Maybe, for example, in security awareness, we limit the number of users that we can actually cover. Or for the MDR free trial, we can limit also by duration, maybe 1 month time, and certain devices only can be monitored, but it is free. Okay, so another remark by Tevan, but then do you train according to what we use in our company infrastructure? Yes, correct. So all our solution is based on your environment. Of course, we use industry standard solution, but we analyze based on your needs. So whatever we are recommending is based on, we sit down with you, understand your environment, understand your business nature, your employee size, the mindset or the issue that you're trying to solve. Then from there, we propose a solution. So it's not a one size fits all solution. Each organization will we provide you different solutions as well, depending on what you're trying to solve. Okay, so Trishan will subscribe to the newsletter. Great sharing. Thank you. Thanks, Trishan. Thanks for joining. All right, so do we have any more questions? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right. Thanks, Trishan. Thanks, Karen, as well. Thanks for your time. Thanks, Kim, as well. And Rosalie, thank you so much. Thanks, Dennis, as well. Thank you all for joining the session, and we appreciate this opportunity. So please, if you have any other questions, or you need any other support or consultation or advice, feel free to reach out to us on this contact details on the screen, and then we'll take it up from there. Okay, thank you.